Baruch Hashem, Or Yud Zayin Mar Cheshvan Tavshem Hedalid. Today we are going to continue in the limud of the Maimer Kasher, השמים, החדשים, and we're going to learn Amud Kufnun He and Kufnun Vov in the Hemshech. What we were learning yesterday is how Shuv is much higher than Ratzoi. That's the general idea that we're learning in the Maimer here. That the Shuv is something you accomplish dafka through your Yigiyah, through different achanas that you have through it, either through shiflus or hanachas atzmusa legamri, a total bittul yichud and alakus. And then we said yesterday that realistically, shuv shows this idea that it's mitzad the eibishter, not mitzad what you want, because after every ratzeh comes a shuv, when the ratzeh is done correctly, because that's what the tachas of the reason of that's tachas of the ratzon of the eibishter. Furthermore, that the shuv is something you do because of bittul, because ratzah is much easier. Besides for the fact that it's easier, because mitzad the idea of precious it's easier, or the idea of yichud Allah is easier than yichud Allah, the yichud of yichud Allah and yichud tata, where you have to involve with gashmis as well. Furthermore, the teva of the neshama, or al kalpanim, the chitzonius way that it expresses itself, similar to the idea that be'etzem there's ratzon and tainug, there's also this characteristic here when it's teva of ratzoi that it wants to become nullified in elikus. However, to come down here, to leave ratzoi dafki in order to come down back here lamata in order to do your avodah, that is much higher, much higher level. Continue your mamish at the bottom of Amud Kufnun Daled v'hurak mitzad hanachas atzmusa legamri. Only because you put yourself totally on the side. Shebatel ma'odel ratzon elyon, v'ratzon elyon hanatua mushash ba'atzvus insev baruch hu sheyev v'chnas shuv dafka. And this ratzon elyon, which is rooted in your soul, wants you to be shuv. B'tzad oitzim bitulei al amidas ratzon elyon, because of this, the greatness, the strength of your bittul to the will of the eibishter. Harei maniach es atzma, you put yourself on the side, lias b'chnas shuv lamata dafka, to come down here and be shuv. This idea where you put your atzmos, you put your essence on the side, this is Kabbalah Sel. It's not the way you feel. If it's not from the pleasure, what's good for you. On your own, you would rather be Klotz HaNefesh. And only because of the truth will of the Eibishter, who b'vchinas shuv. In Cain, Zel b'chinas Kabbalah Samach Vov. This is the real true level of Kabbalah Samach Vov. Giving yourself over to the Eibishter. You put your entire atzmus aside for the will of the Eibishter, the atzmus. So this kaich of Kabbalah Soil, hu b'chinas shuv. Amdam be'emes, ratzeh b'chinas shuv. Also, the ratzeh is in a way that later shuv should be able to happen. Meaning to say, if the ratzah should also be measured, because if the ratzah is not measured, you could reach you could reach a point where you're not shaykh to do shuv anymore. So he says, "Hanu gamkin mitzad Kabbalah Samach Vov." This shabai, this ratzah to be calculated also mitzad Kabbalah Samach Vov. This is the general putting yourself aside to the reality of the atzmos. This b'derech mela causes the ratzeh shekam take of ratzeh yal kapanim ba'draga, because your what you want to do is what the Eibishter wants to do. There's piles that even when you're drawn up inside the ratzeh, it should be in a way that can come back. Let me spouse for not overly excited, not overly strong. In order there should be able to be shuv. The Yeshlam is like it's explained in other places. Hamashal and Beizmin Yisharim, two types of ministers, sitting in front of the king, by a party where you have to be happy. The close ministers, which are called advisors, the happiness is what's revealed, but concealed, that they fear the king, they're scared of the king. And the ones that are not, the ministers that are not so close to the king, they only do the work of the king for whatever their jobs are. Even though they're also happy, the fear by them is much stronger, because they're not close in any way. ובדוגמה כזה שיש לנו כמה, we could say the same idea here. מחמאס הביטול שיש בעצם מצד קבלת אוהל מלך שמיים, the ביטול that you have מצד your קבלת אוהל, הרי זה פועל, this causes שגם מסגלוס הרוצן שלהם, also your own revelation of רוצן, אם ישו בתוך רוצן וגילי דווקא, even though it's as strong as רוצן, if it's revealed as רוצן can be, it's not overly strong, it's not actually exact like what we're talking about in the Simcha. It's only in a way of explaining it. Like a servant that accepts the yoke of a king. The yoke is always on you. Even if you're very strong, you're not going to go across your limitation. So when Kabbalah's oil is controlling you, so even based on Simcha, you see the Yira. So even based on Ratzoi, you understand the real point is the Shuv. The idea of Kabbalah's oil is your own strength. Just like we have the kingdom down here, Lamata, what's the idea? How does a nation express Kabbalah's oil? The nation accepts on themselves the yoke of the kingdom. And they crown the Eibishter, they crown the king as for king. Through them crowning, he becomes king, and they become slaves. Same idea is Kabbalah She'ein ze mitzad hagilui milamayla. This is not mitzad, the revelation from above. Ki'im, rather, it's what the Sham said. Didn't dafka mekab malem al malchus yisbarach lis munachim of telim elav chulu. So the Yidden on their own achieved this idea of giving themselves over to the Eibishter. If you do it like Kabbalah Samach Vov, this idea of Kabbalah Samach Vov v'chir and dafka. It's dafka when you choose it. Only the Marishan could have achieved Kabbalah Samach Vov v'amar Hashem Melech. Only through choice and will you can have this level of bittul. Same idea we do on Rosh Hashanah. We crown the Eibishter with a crown of kingdom. We draw down the will that the Eibishter should be the king. Through revealing the Malchus. It causes the fear by the Yidden that are now accepting the Eibishter as king. Like we say in the davening on Yom Kippur, on Yom Neroyim, that the fear is on the Malachim. This is once the Eibishter draw down his will to become the king. This drawing down of the Eibishter's will to be the king, when we accept the Eibishter as king. Nevertheless, it's also because it's not just Kabbalas El Malchus, it's also because the Yidden's Neshama are connected to the Eibishter's Neshama. Since in their etzem the neshamas are connected to the MS of the Eibishter, and they're totally nullified, like we said earlier. Also, when the neshama comes out lamata, we can accept this El Malch Shemayim, we can achieve this El Malch Shemayim to be totally batal, because that's how it is in their skashas, that's how it is in the source. It's very concealed. It seems this actual concept of Kabbalah Samach Vov, it's only on your own kach. Even though it exists mitzad iskashus, it's so concealed that only down in Lamada you could reveal it. So this Hamshacha that we draw down the rotzin of the Eibishter to be a king, to draw down the fear, that is through our Kabbalah oil. That is a prerequisite for the avodah midas that now we can do ratzin v'shuv through our yigiyah sheyikideboy. It should be the way it's supposed to be. Over there, Chalal in general, Levatel Kol Ritzonei, to nullify all your wills because in front of Hashem's will, Torah mitzvahs, Like a slave that accepts the yoke of his master to serve him. Through this acceptance, it strengthens himself to nullify all your wills, and anything the Eibishter says. So, in this matter, we discussed at length how through Kabbalas Ol, through your own Yigiyah, in the Kav of Kabbalas Ol, you can achieve the Ratzin of the Brias of the Eibishter. Through Shuv, that the Shuv comes, that even your Ratzin is done in a way that afterwards there should be Shuv. And as we just concluded in the end of the Maimir here, that even this idea of a Ratzin has to have the Sakdama of Kabbalas Ol. So it comes out that both Ratzin and both Shuv are of a Yid's Avodah is dafka through his own Yigiyah and dafka through his introduction and prefacing it with Kabbalas Ol in order to accept the Eibishter as a king and Mamshech is Ratzin L'Melucha, the idea that Adam Rishon crowned the Eibishter and every single Rosh Hashanah where we crown the Eibishter. Now Yuvan, according to this, we can understand Mashakotzev ki kasher השמים החדשים והארץ החדש אשר אני עושה. Which, by the way, this is from the Haftarah of Shabbos Rish Chodesh, which this Maimer in Va'era Tavrish Samach Vov was Taka Shabbos Rish Chodesh. So we say over there. So we asked in the beginning of the Maimer, what exactly are we saying? The Shemaim Chadashim, the Shemaim was created Priyas Olam. So we say the Shemaim V'aretz Im Ratzah V'Shuf. Eretz is B'chinas Ratzah. K'maimer Lama Nikra Shema Eretz Shiratzah. So it wants B'cha Aretz Gdud, the idea of running or drawing. Shemaim Im B'chinas Shuf, where they're supposed to be settled. Ki Shamayim Chinas Mashpiyim, they draw down Hamshech Mad. Shad they came to our mitzvahs, they draw down the level of Mayim D'churim that we get through to our mitzvahs. Shizel Chinas Shuf. Maybe the Mayim D'churim is the idea of the Mayim that's in Lamayla. Mayim in Elyonim L'chayda. Mashpiyim, the idea of Mashpiyim. Nowadays, Ratzah V'Shuv properly, as we said, at length in the Maimer, is only shaykh through Kabbalas Ol, through our own Navoida, Ratzah V'Shuv. Aval Asid Omer, when Mashiach comes, it says, Ki kasher Shema Mechadash Avar Tzachadash Asher Ni Oisa. Till Asid Yagam Kim Chinas Ratzah V'Shuv, they'll taka also read Ratzah V'Shuv. There'll be the idea of Shema V'Aretz also Asid, but Aval Yiyah Mitzad Atzmos Erin Sefer, it's going to come Mitzad Atzmos, not through our Yigiyah. V'zeu Asher Ani Oisa, Shiur Ratzah V'Shuv Mil Maila. Kinin Be'achida Be'lidik, which is the Ran Salai Chol Hashmayim, that there's three levels in Eretz over there. That he said that some of these levels, that the level Be'achida Be'lida Be'ez Dapkis goes through Yavoid Lamata, the Avoid the Eretz Malmaila, and the Gilid Lasid, which we're going to have. I believe that's what we said in Maimer Vayachulu. Let's quickly check that out. No, it's talking about more about going out of a keli. When there is a Metzias Kli, when there isn't a Metzias Kli, it does say the limit of Rashbi versus the limit of the other Tanoim. At the end of the Maimer, it does say that one of it was Nimaytz Mashiach. Fine. Vinishdvi. This creates a type of connection that Reb Shimon ben Yochai had, where it was Mitzad L'mayla. The sowing, Shadi Tera Mitzvahs, B'chinas Eretz V'Rol HaTzadik, Shimchem U'nin Kabbalas Ol, Malchus Shamayim, V'Vayaz David Sham. V'hainu, the avodah the action of Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim, the avodah we do nowadays through Kabbalas Ol, Kim Tera Mitzvahs, Al Gamkin La'asid. This avodah, the Zarachim V'Shimchem that we do now, are going to be in this Allah, B'chinas Atzos and Say Baruch Hu. We're going to see how these really trigger the Gilead of the Atzos Lasad Love. Because the point of the avodah is for Ratzah V'Shuv. Also when Mashiach becomes through Ratzah V'Shuv, Aval Yiyah Mitzad Atzos and Say, it's going to be because of the Eibishter's Atzmos. This is that's what we're saying. Asher Ni Oisa, it's going to be what the Eibishter is doing. So Taka Asher Ni Oisa will be Hamshech L'Asid. But it's because Yamud Tarachim V'Shimchem, the avodah B'chinas Ratzah V'Shuv Achshav that you do, the Tarachim V'Shimchem that we do now through our avodah, Titzal Gamkin L'Asid B'chinas Atzmos will be drawn down. L'Asid Lavoi will be elevated also to the level of atzmos. Let us grab the next mimer. We just finished mimer כאשר, השמים, החדשים, which is, I believe, mimer Yud Zayin. No, mimer Chai, mimer Yud Ches. I'm going to move on to mimer Yud Tes, also known as the Hemshech HaChodesh. Mimer Yud Tes. Yeah, Mizet Mimer Yud Tes. We'll just start it today. Tomorrow we'll learn it a little bit more. Shleimus Indian. Kleiner. Okay, I think Domican Zen. Shabbos Parshas Boy Tafresh Samach Vov. Beautiful. HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem Reish Chadashim. And as we look at the Mafteach, Chodesh Hazeh is again the Milas HaAvodah B'Koyach Atzmai. So Kikasher Shemaim HaChadashim, we spoke about the Avodah B'Ratzim V'Shuv, and the Iker is that it's B'Koyach Atzmai. As we learned, spoke about it by Arucha in the whole Maimah, the whole idea of Shuv. That's the real Koyach Atzmai. And then we said even Ratzah is Koyach Atzmai. And here in Maimah HaChodesh Hazeh, we're going to continue the same idea. We're the avodah, the ikar is b'koyach atzmai. Yeah. HaChodesh hazeh lachem reish chadashim rishonu lachem l'chadshei hashana. Tzarich l'havin halei reish chodesh or reish hashana. The first reish chodesh is Tishrei is reish hashana. Shekoil kol hachadashim dal shem zen ikar reish. It includes all the months. Koil kol hashana. That's how it's called reish. Just like the head includes the life for the whole body. Rosh Hashanah has the chayes of the whole year. Then there's 12 heads of the month. And every Rosh Chodesh has the chayes of each 30 days. The first of Tishrei is the beginning of all months. Why here do we have in this passage talking about Nisan, that is the beginning of the Chadashim? In Sefer Akedah it says, there's two ways we can know the greatness of the Eibishter. Ha'alef, manhagas hateva, from the way nature operates. We could recognize the greatness of the Creator. Manhaga tmidis, from the constant steering or the constant way it behaves. That the world behaves in a particular way without any changes and no stop. But through this we could see what's recognizable, the strength of the Eibishter. The sun, the moon, the stars, and all planets are all galgalim. In their constant surroundings, they're always going east to west. They never change their jobs, they never stop. The mitzad atzmim on their own action, since they're limited. There should have been a stop. There should have been some change. The chol bal gvul, anything that's limited, sometimes it changes. From the fact that it never changes and the fact that it never stops, we could recognize that there is an Eibishter. As it says at length in other places. In general creations, Tzva Shamayim, the army in the heaven, Tzva is the army of the earth. There's those that exist in type and those that exist in a person. Min would be like the sun. It exists as a sun, and then there's it's the type of a thing, and there's those that are Kayam B'ish. It's the human species has a bunch of people, and each one is part of the Tzvares. So So simply by looking at nature, we can see the Koyach Ein Sof. When you look at the way the things operate, higher than Teva, various miracles like going out of Mitzrayim or the Kriyas Yamsuf. It's changing the regular battlefield or the regular setups. Ubritla teva, canceling nature, but we could recognize the greatness of the Eibishter greater than regular teva, because you see how teva is somewhat, you get used to it. This is on a much higher level. Now, to understand the source of these two types of way the Eibishter operates, either through nature or higher than nature, we have to start by explaining what we explained earlier in the Maimer of Ner Chanukah. The Ner Avaya Nishmas Adam, what it means that the Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. And we explained that K'moya Ner Sha'el V'yer Tamid. The candle is constantly going up and down. K'moya Ken and Neshama Yitamid V'chinas Ratziv V'shuv. The Neshama is constantly going up and down through Ratziv V'shuv. In this boyer, we explained Sheyesh Al Zeis Eretz Mil Mailo. There's two ways that this happens. It's one way that there's an awakening from above, like something that happens every single day. That you awaken the person to be in a level of Ratziv V'shuv. But Ikar HaRatziv V'shuv, the main idea of Ratziv V'shuv is B'Koyach Atzmoi V'Yigiyosoi Dafka through your own strength and your own toiling. That you work hard. To be given over, to be with love and desire to the Eibishter. Sorry. Koyach atzmoi. So together, this avo chuka l'likos. V'kam sorry, avo rabba ba dafka le'atircha v'yigia b'avoid pnimius the ma'achalev tiknash nefesh b'amis. And the ava, the love, dafka comes through working hard in your inner work, in your heart, mind and heart, and working on your nefesh b'amis. V'gam v'ashuv v'gam kim g'achatzim. V'yodetsim ha'ratzim shuv is also on your own work, higher than ratzim. Kemit so shuv mitzad etzem haneshama, because that's what you do mitzad etzem haneshama, like we said in the last mimer. Mitzad habitl v'ashuv shiflos. Mitzad ha'kabal samach shamayim shabai. Mishum zeh b'chinas shuv. This puts you in a level of shuv. Kabal samach shamayim on the other hand, v'kach atzmoi. Also through your own strength and your own work, which is bar leil. So that's just like the candle goes up and down. The neshama has ratziv v'shuv. That there's two ways. There's a way of its erus, and there's a way of doing it b'kach atzmoi v'giyasa, either through shiflus or through kabbalah soil. And tomorrow we're going to start diving deeper into what we already discussed and what we already know in a sense. That koyach atzma v'gyasa is very difficult. But we're going to understand what's the real mile in it. L'chayra, who cares? The end game is at Av and Yira. What do I